So we got a math chapter.
Yes. I was kind of following. Yeah, we got a math chapter.
Not gonna lie, my eyes glazed a little bit, and then alarm bells went off that I'm gonna have to talk about it. Guys, math is not my strong suit at all.
Yeah, it used to be my strong suit, but that was many, many moons ago, many suns ago. Yeah.
Nerd!
I used to enjoy it, but I fostered the other side of my brain, and that one atrophied. Yeah,
Oh no.
sorry. Yeah.
So then I'm spending the week a bit nervous about having to comment on the math of it. But then
Mm-hmm.
something occurred to me. The magic number is 16. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I remembered a very specific death rattle, Kitty. Do you?
No.
3 of 16 remain, and now the broken one reigns.
Hmm. Well, it's a 16%. It's just like, well, I guess it's like the recurring numbers that you find in the Bible kind of thing. So it's not because we're talking about a proportion here. So, but yes, the 16 is an important number to Sanderson, I suppose, to Cosmia.
I think there's a big, big connection here, and
You want to
I,
put it in the prediction log? I don't know when we'll find it
I,
out, but I mean, you write it down.
it's not so much that I have something to put in the prediction log as much as it is I want to try and glean whatever else we can. So the exact
Mhm.
death rattle is 3 of 16 ruled, but now the broken one reigns. Collected Chachanon 1173, 84 seconds pre-death. Subject a cut purse with the wasting sickness of partial Iriali descent. So
Mhm.
I don't necessarily know much of what the cut purse with the wasting sickness can tell us, but
Mhm.
is of 16 meaning
Mhm.
of ruin, or does it mean of mistborn world, or is ruin the broken one? 3 of 16 perhaps could be in reference to maybe 3 Alamancers, 3 mistborn, but
Mhm.
they failed in some way and now ruin has taken control. Or 16 could be preservation, rather, if we think that allomancy is connected to preservation. So 3 allomancers. I don't know. There's something there. I bet we'll have a better idea by the end of this book, but I'm so confident that this is
Yeah.
a mistborn death rattle
Okay.
related.
Okay. I'm not, but it would be cool if you're right. That would be very cool.
Yeah.
Very in just very layered. Yeah. Yeah. I'm thinking it's more like the repetition.
Mm.
Just that these are important numbers. It's just an important number. Because yeah, the 16 is a proportion in this chapter, and the 16 over there in that rattle is a count.
Yeah.
I know there's a 3, but the 3 is not a 16. The 3 of 16 is not 16%.
Right. I
So
I mean, the death rattle seems to be referring to people,
yeah,
like
no,
a
I'm
group
not.
of 3. Hmm.
Yeah, a group of 3, a group of 3 that are of 16 instead of
Yeah.
16 people. Yes, I know what you mean. It's like, oh, they 3 of ruin versus preservation. So 16 doesn't mean a number in this
Right. Well,
interpretation.
before this chapter, I think we had presumed something to the effect of like 3 of a council of 16, or we had imagined
Hmm.
like a senate type thing that had fallen apart in some way, shape, or form. But now
Hmm.
I definitely think it's connected to ruin and preservation.
Yeah. So we just don't know which one that 16 represents. Is the 16 is 16 representative of preservation or ruin. And in this chapter, it seems like preservation is 16, but I don't know. We'll get into it.
Yeah, if the mist creature is preservation, it would make sense because it's doing the 16 thing. And the broken one, which seems to be standing in opposition to of 16, sounds more ruinous. Voidbringery.
Voidbringery. Yeah.
Anyway, that's where a massive bulk of my brain power was spent this week.
Mine was not spent on it. Sorry, I was assembling furniture. So that's where mine was.
Oh boy. Hello and welcome to the No One Asked You podcast. For this particular series, I am joined by my wonderful co-host, that darn Kitty.
Dorkus and I are both going into the story completely new with almost no knowledge of the story or world. Each segment will cover what happens in each new chapter while discussing our experience along the way.
This is the Hero of Ages. It's all in the pages. A blind read-through. And today we are covering Chapter 21.
Chapter 21.
It should be no surprise that Elend became such a powerful allomancer. It is a well-documented fact, though that documentation wasn't available to most, that allomancers were much stronger during the early days of the Final Empire. We know this so far.
But it's kind of like a further, we have records that even confirm it. It's not just an assumption.
In those days, an allomancer didn't need Duralumin to take control of a Khandra or Kolos. A simple push or pull on the emotions was enough. In fact, this ability was one of the main reasons that the Khandra devised their contracts with the humans, for at that time not only Mistborn but Soothers and Rioters could take control of them at the merest of whims. It's been established that Vin is powerful enough to not need Duralumin, right?
I think she uses Duralumin to break the connection, yeah. I don't know if it's Elend who's just the most who doesn't need it. I think it's Elend.
Wasn't there a big conversation we had regarding Vin?
Yeah, so she does. Yeah, they're both of them are. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
More support for the theory that Vin was force-fed a sphere of some kind, I think.
Yeah. And she reminds us of that with she actually refers to her earring in this in this chapter, which is a little clue.
I think so too. I thought that's very specific here for a reason.
And also that just makes me go, oh my gosh, that means that Breeze or Alrion could have their own army back in the day.
Yeah. But I still think we're headed toward a Goku, people of Earth, lend me your energy type mass soothe and or riot against the Kolos army by the end of the book.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Demio survived. I read that first line and I thought, oh shit, are we getting a Demio POV?
Yeah, it sounds like it's like we're going to just go into his mind. It's like, no, just, he survived, by the way.
Yeah. He was among the vast majority of the 6th of the soldiers who got sick, those who did not die. Vin sat atop the cabin of her narrow
by the
boat.
way.
Yeah?
Sorry, in my edition, it says he was one of the larger group, the 15%, who grew sick but did not die.
Interesting. I think that slowly sets up the pivot to 16% later on, but it seems strange to me. Like, why would you think in percent instead of fraction?
Yeah.
But maybe that's just me.
Yeah. But yeah, I suppose that it's just to establish that this is what it was before. This is what the impression everybody was under before.
Yeah. Vin sat atop the cabin of her narrowboat, arm resting on a wooden ledge, idly fingering her mother's earring, which she wore in her left ear as always. Yeah, so it's been a while since we had her do that, so.
Like, we know she's always wearing it, but we're like, here's reference to it. So it's Tanderson's like, remember this? Think about it. And you're like, okay, we always do.
Yeah. Speaking of remember this, we finally get information on how nobles
Yes, we
get
do.
the
We get
allomancy.
confirmation.
Hmm.
Yes, I was like, oh, so you so called it many, many, many chapters ago, like books ago. So here it is confirmed, and it's interesting what actually has come of this, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Kolos brutes trudged along the towpath, dragging the barges and boats down the canal. Many of the barges carried supplies, tents, foodstuffs, pure water, but several had now been emptied, their contents hauled in the packs of the surviving soldiers to make room for the ill. Vin turned her gaze away from the barges and toward the front of the narrowboat. Ellen stood at the prow as usual, staring westward. He did not brood. He looked like a king, standing straight-backed, staring determinedly toward his goal. Stoic Ellen.
Mm, very,
Regal.
probably handsome. You're regal, probably handsome
Mm.
too, but she's noticing the differences again.
He appeared so different now from the man he had once been, with his full beard, his longer hair, his uniforms that had been scrubbed white. They were growing worn. Not ragged, they were still clean and sharp, as white as things could get in the current state of the world, but they were no longer new. They were the uniforms of a man who had been at war for a year and a half straight.
Mine again says for 2 years straight.
Makes sense. I'm kind
Mm.
of getting used to that now, expecting it whenever a date is mentioned like that.
Mm. There's an
Um,
extra 6 months he's in my book.
there's a lot of really good stresses of war in this chapter, and
Hmm.
I really like the layers of conversation between Elend and Vin in this chapter, how they're both talking to each other, but about entirely different things. And you
Yeah,
get, yeah, and you get so much of, we kind of know what Ellen's thinking, but
because of what he says. Yeah.
because of how well it's written here, but we get none of it, but we get so much of it. It's
It's
really,
really
really
well done.
wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great technique.
Yeah, this may be top tier Sanderson so far.
Mm.
Vin knew him enough to sense that all was not well. She also knew him enough to sense that he didn't want to talk about it at the moment. She stood and stepped down, burning pewter unconsciously to heighten her balance. She slid a book off a bench at the boat's edge and settled down softly. Elend would talk to her eventually. He always did. For the moment, she had something else to engage her. She opened the book to the marked page and reread a particular paragraph. And Kitty's gonna read it.
The deepness must be destroyed, the word said.
Oh, I don't have that. It
I've
goes straight for me.
okay. Okay, it's goes straight. Okay. The deepness must be destroyed. I've seen it and I've felt it. This name we give it is too weak a word, I think. Yes, it is deep and unfathomable, but it's also terrible. Many do not realize that it is sentient, but I've sensed its mind, such as it is, the few times I've confronted it directly.
So naturally, I have sapient instead of sentient.
Sentient, yeah. Just the continued. I suppose they did a control F, like they replaced sapient with sentient
Yep,
in our
find and
books. Yeah.
replace.
Mm,
I'm glad she's still visiting the book.
yeah.
She's doing the thinking as best she can.
Yeah. We need this kind of thing happening in a character because we have been doing it ourselves. We've got Sazed off there doing whatever. We've had certain revelations. I think that we've been doing the thinking and the assumptions and the stuff. We kind of do need to focus on more of characters trying to understand the mystery as well.
Yeah. I also really like the trust of Elend will talk to me about it when he's ready type
Yeah.
thing.
That's where we are in the relationship. Yeah, we don't have to be like, oh no, he's upset with me because he's not speaking to me. It's like, no, he's got his own things going on and he'll speak to me when he's ready because we've gone through this. We're comfortable. This is how we work.
Yeah, and building on what you just said. I also really like this dynamic of Elend is very much focusing on the practical and pragmatic stuff, the army,
Mm.
the food, the immediate necessities, whereas Vin is dedicating her time more to the grander things, the more
Yeah.
mystical, the ruin of it.
Yeah, the what does all this mean? How do we defeat it? Like this is how I suppose Ellen is focused on surviving, but this is Vin is like needs to focus on finding how they actually win.
Yeah. They need to find a way to communicate through thought.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
okay, look, Kitty, if we are ever in this situation, if I tap you once on the shoulder, it is
Mm.
me trying to communicate a thought to you, and I'm going to make you figure it out. There will be clues, I assure you, and I'm going to trust you to know what it is that I'm trying to communicate to you. Understood?
Oh my gosh. Understood. But you know what you need to do as practice for that? To
What?
show if you know how your friend's mind works. So it's a game called Code Names. And basically it's word association. You're trying to make it's a great game. And basically if you know what your friend you have to identify words in a collection. Your friend has to or your team has to tap them, but you can only say one word and the amount of cards that it relates to. I'm really botching the explanation, but the point is, guys, look up code names. It is so much fun. I actually think there might be an online version. We can probably play it in Thinkers. It is great.
Nice, we
So
should
yeah.
do
Anyway,
that.
it's basically that where you could try to say word associations and your friend would be able to understand what you're meaning, like because of your particular friendship they will know. So it's a
Mm.
very brilliant game. Yeah.
It reminds me of when I was taking improv classes and we did this warm up game called Mind Meld. And
Yeah.
the thing is basically you turn to a person, you say, mind meld, 1, 2, 3, and then you shout out a word. And
Oh,
you repeat that until you both shout out the same word. So
okay.
yeah.
And you kind of you take the direction of one you take the lead of one word and then oh that makes sense, that's so cool. Come on
Yeah.
guys, mind meld over here. It'll take a while to get stuff done, but and it might irritate Rin would be like, oh god, I'm not listening to these guys anymore. They keep yelling at each other.
Oh my god. Uh, just do that. Just like be
Yeah.
so awkward and cringe with each other that Ruin has to look away.
Rin's like, this is not the destruction I wanted, okay? I'm dying. I'm melting. This would work. We have solved the mystery, Dorcas. This is how you win, Vin. Just cringe ruin into death.
I think I think we figured it out. Mission accomplished. She eyed the page for a moment, sitting back on her bench. Beside her, the passing canal waters were covered with a froth of floating ash. The book was Alendi's logbook, written 1,000 years before by a man who thought himself the hero of ages. Alendi hadn't completed his quest. He had been killed by one of his packmen, Rashek, who had then taken the power at the Well of Ascension and become the Lord Ruler. We know this.
We know this, but also I think it's important. It shows where Vin's thinking is going. Okay, so she is thinking about who wrote this logbook. Okay, like I know I don't think it's consciously she's going through all of this, but this is the path of her thinking. Like she's thinking about who Alendi is.
Yeah, and how it parallels with her story.
Yeah.
And it also builds to what she does later, which I absolutely love with the chalkboard, but we'll get to that.
Mm-hmm.
Alendi's story was frighteningly close to Vin's own. She had also assumed herself to be the hero of ages. She had traveled to the well and had been betrayed, not by a companion, but instead by the force imprisoned within the well. The force that, she believed, was behind the prophecies about the hero of ages in the first place. I don't believe that. I think Ruin altered the prophecies, but I don't think he made
Mhm.
the prophecies.
Yeah, I agree. I think we came to that conclusion last book as well. We were like, nah, there's still something to it. Yeah, just another thing is like just remembering, yeah, Alendi would have released Ruin, guys. He would have. So
Mm-hmm. Probably.
yeah, he would also have been because he was under the same impression that Vin was, that I must give up the power to save the world. So yeah, it works, and you're like, you know what? I'm glad it was Vin.
Yeah,
Because
because
we wouldn't know.
considering I think Sazed is the hero of ages, I don't think Quan was the hero of ages.
Yeah.
So it all happened as
Hmm.
it had to have to get to where we are.
Yeah, exactly. Why do I keep coming back to this paragraph?
She thought, eyeing it again. Perhaps it was because of what Human had said to her, that the mists hated her. Yes, Vin, continue talking to Human. See what
Hmm.
wisdom the Kolos can share.
Hmm. No, I mean they could. They can help you think
I mean, if the Khandra know about ruin and preservation, maybe Human does too.
in some rudimentary way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like how does he see the world? Does he see it in terms of ruin and preservation? Don't use the word preservation. He won't understand. But do something. Speak to him.
She had felt that hatred, and it appeared that Alendi had felt the same thing. But could she trust the logbook's words? The force she had released, the thing they called ruin, had proven that it could change things in the world. Small things, yet important ones, like the text of a book, which was why Ellen's officers were now instructed to send all messages via memorized words or letters etched into metal.
Oh, hold
Excellent.
up. Yes,
What?
yes, excellent. That's how we should do it. That's how we should be operating. But I'm like, the logbook. Is Ruin gonna change the logbook
Well,
as well, or is he just gonna not care about it anymore? It's done its job.
Well, the next paragraph addresses that,
Mm-hmm.
fortunately. But still, yeah, I would be very skeptical of anything,
Mm.
including the logbook. Regardless, if there had been any clues to be gained by reading the logbook, Ruin would have removed them long ago. There you go. So
Okay, yes. So he would have removed them long ago. Yeah.
she presumes that. Go on.
Yeah. I guess what I would be looking for is any new changes. So, because that could give you a clue as to what he's trying to hide. But then it could be a double bluff because he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm trying to hide this," and you'd be like, "Really?" And then, then he's just there's nothing to hide. So yeah, that's all I'm trying to introduce is just keep an eye on what does change.
Yeah, but I do still think that there's wisdom to be gained from the logbook.
Hmm. Yeah.
Vin felt that she'd been led by the nose for the last 3 years, pulled by invisible strings. She had thought she was having revelations and making great discoveries, but all she'd really been doing was following Ruin's bidding.
Yet Ruin is not omnipotent. If it were, there would have been no fight. It wouldn't have needed to trick me into releasing it. It cannot know my thoughts.
She's getting close to a very important revelation here. She does get to it
Mhm.
later regarding the rules of a game.
Yes. And she needs to figure out the rules in order to figure out how to win. This is good.
Yeah. Even that knowledge was frustrating. What good were her thoughts? Always before she'd had Sazed, Elend, or Tensoon to talk with about problems like this. This wasn't a task for Vin. She was no scholar, yet Sazed had turned his back on his studies, Tensoon had returned to his people, and Elend was far too busy lately to worry about anything but his army and its politics. That left Vin, and she still found reading and scholarship to be stuffy and boring. But now you gotta get good.
Yeah, you gotta. And I don't know. I don't know how you find it boring if you're looking for an answer. Like, okay, but whatever. She's always had this, and it's also this kind of mental block against it because she's like, oh no, but it is boring. Therefore, I don't do it. It's like, no, it's not actually as boring as you think.
Yeah. It's so important.
Mhm.
So important.
Yeah, and I'm glad that she's not like I don't wanna, and then doesn't. She's like, I don't wanna, but I gotta. Good girl.
Yeah. But she was also becoming more and more comfortable with the idea of doing what was necessary, no matter how distasteful. Yeah, I like the badassery that you had just characterized it as. I think it's kind of humorous that she characterizes scholarship as distasteful.
Yes,
Like
ooh,
mucking
gross.
around in the ash is
Yeah.
distasteful. Scholarship.
But I think this also just brings up this word distasteful, also brings up the parallel with Elend. Elend is doing what is necessary. And we have a bit more in the conversation later about wait, if we're starting to view everything as even the bad things as necessary, how do we stop ourselves? So we'll get to that conversation, but it's a good like note to hit before we get into that.
Yeah. She was no longer solely her own person. She belonged to the new empire. She had been its knife. Now it was time to try a different role.
The brain of the empire, the Google of the empire.
Something like that,
I have to do it.
she thought, sitting in the red sunlight.
There is a puzzle here, something to be solved. What was it Kelsier liked to say? There's always another secret.
She remembered Kelsier standing boldly before a small group of thieves, proclaiming that they would overthrow the Lord Ruler and free the Empire.
Do you want us to use his voice?
Do you want me to?
Yeah.
We're thieves, he'd said, and we're extraordinarily good ones. We can rob the unrobbable and fool the unfoolable. We know how to take an incredibly large task and break it down to manageable pieces, then deal with each of those pieces. I missed him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I wanted the flashback. Because she's gone right into the memory.
Yeah. And that is one of my favorite lines of Mistborn, the first book.
Mm-hmm. And one of the best scenes. We were so
Hyped.
enamored by that scene. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
great.
When he'd written up the team's goals and plans on a small board, Vin had been amazed by how possible he made an impossible task seem. That day, a small part of her had begun to believe that Kelsier could overthrow the final empire.
All right. I'll begin like Kelsier did, by listing the things that I know for certain.
I would be cheering in a crowd or in a movie theater right now at that line. I am so proud of Vin. I am so excited for the line of thought that brought her to this point. I think it's great. She's going to logically break it down into pieces. This shouldn't excite me as much as it does, but it does.
No, you just, and yeah, because you want her to be doing this. And also, just she's kind of taking hope from that and motivation from that previous situation where they were faced with an impossible task. She's faced with an impossible task now. So, what do? Okay, we write it down and we break it down. So, and we write what we know. That whole thing, like, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. That's what you do with experiences. You draw from them.
Yeah, and the middle book was so nihilistic about
Hmm.
Kelsier. It's really, really nice to see not morally good Kelsier, but like Kelsier at his best qualities
Yeah.
remembered again.
Hmm. Yeah, especially by Vin, because Vin had some sad thoughts about Calcia.
Yeah. Continue to take inspiration.
Hmm.
There had been a power at the Well of Ascension, so that much about the stories was true. There had also been something alive, imprisoned in or near the well. It had tricked Vin into using the power to destroy its bonds. Maybe she could have used that power to destroy Ruin instead, but she'd given it up. So I don't think she could use the power to destroy Ruin, because I feel like that would have already been done. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah, it could have. She would have to just re-imprison him.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
She sat thoughtfully, tapping her finger against the logbook. She could remember wisps of how it had felt to hold that power. Yes, I'm so glad we get this segment.
Hmm.
We get even more specific with it.
Yeah, we need to do this kind of thinking.
Yep. And as characterized here, it does seem less in depth than the epigraphs, in my opinion. But that
Mm-hmm.
could just be a
Yes.
pacing thing.
Yeah.
It had awed her, yet at the same time felt natural and right. In fact, as she held it, everything had felt natural. The workings of the world, the ways of men. It was as if the power had been more than mere capability. It had been understanding as well. That was a tangent. Then that was a tangent is the start of a new paragraph, but I needed to
Mhm.
audio it here to highlight the comment. No, it is not. The fact that you are distracting away from it now signals to
Yes.
me that Sanderson does not want to tell us something important here yet. So I think
Yeah.
that there is a lot to glean here in this paragraph. But then
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, she comes to understand the ways of men. That sits in direct contrast, I think, to what Ellen says later about men being chaotic. Can
Mm-hmm.
one truly know something that is chaotic, or is chaotic too random to know? And obviously, this chapter gets into the numerical element of it, the statistics, and how they tend to, I think Ellen says, even out on average, or
Mm-hmm.
something to that effect.
They
So
normalize, yeah.
they normalize, right? So it's like there's something there. It's on the edge, and I'm just not quite able to define it, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, well, she gets into the whole idea of balance and that sort of thing. Yeah, that you would need chaos and order. I think it's getting to that sort of discussion, that sort of thinking opposing forces, but also that it's natural for us to have opposing forces and they need to be in balance.
Yeah,
Something,
which
something. Yeah.
which makes one wonder if Rashek imposed his tyrannical order for an undue amount of time, maybe the way to beat Ruin is to let Ruin win
Hmm.
for
Well,
balance.
I don't know about letting him. I think it's the amount of winning he's doing here is okay for balance, I suppose, maybe. I don't know.
Hmm.
I think all out surrender wouldn't be a good plan.
Yeah, but it feels like Ruin needs to have his time. But
Hmm.
I don't know what to do with that because I don't want to die from Ruin.
Yeah. But yeah, when also I had the same thought when she said that was a tangent. I'm like, no, 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 no. You there's a lot to go to get from there.
Mm-hmm.
But she's just like, no, well, it's not practical enough. Okay, fine. I'm not getting any answers from it. It's like, yeah, but you better go back there. Okay, you're gonna need to.
Yes, please do. That was a tangent. She needed to focus on what she knew before she could philosophize on what she needed to do. The power was real, and Ruin was real. Ruin had retained some ability to change the world while confined. Sazed had confirmed that his texts had been altered to suit Ruin's purpose. Now Ruin was free, and Vin assumed that it was behind the violent mist killings and the falling ash. And I read that, and I didn't even need the next line to know, well, actually, you don't.
Yeah, you
You,
don't. You're assuming that's
yeah,
wrong.
you and I
Hmm.
both know the ash is Rashek's doing. Maybe Ruin has exacerbated it, but no, that was primarily Rashek. And we already suspect it's preservation doing the killing,
Hmm. Yeah,
I think.
exactly.
So,
So yeah, she needs to write these as questions. If we were writing this on the board, they're questions. It would be missed killings question mark. Who we don't know that. So we know that we don't know about the missed killings. We don't. That's it. So yeah, I also was like, no, 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 don't take that assumption. So and I was relieved when we got to her thoughts.
yes, she reminds herself.
Though I don't know either of those things for certain.
What did she know about Ruin? She had touched it, felt it in that moment when she had released it.
So just think about that moment as well, Vin, because that's the thing. It was like, remember, it like moved away from her. It couldn't. It stayed away from the. It was. Bleh. Remember, it was harmed by metal. It seemed it was not.
Hmm.
It stayed away from that. Remember that as well for later, but she doesn't obviously.
Mm-hmm. It had a need to destroy, yet it was not a force of simple chaos. It didn't act randomly. It planned and thought, and it didn't seem able to just do anything it wanted, almost as if it followed specific rules. And that right there will be a key
Mm-hmm.
in unlocking how to solve the problem. I read that and I was like, excellent insight, Vin. There you go.
Insight! Yeah, exactly. It's like it has limitations.
Yes. Find out what the rules are, and then you can play the game. Or
Yeah.
win, or cheat.
Yeah, because it can't.
Mhm. She hesitated.
Elend,
The Emperor turned from his place at the prow.
what is the first rule of Allomancy? The first thing I taught you.
Consequence. Every action has consequences. When you push on something heavy, it will push you back. If you push on something light, it will fly away. It was the first lesson Kelsier had taught Vin, and she assumed it was also the first lesson his master had taught him. See, we are getting good Kelsier recollections now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just good old memories. Oh, good old Calcia.
It's a good rule, Alan said, returning to his contemplation of the horizon. It works for all things in life. If you throw something into the air, it will come back down. Newton, Alan, just discovered gravity. Wait, does this world already know about gravity?
I don't think they know. I don't think so. You're considering what Vin says. They know that gravity is a thing, but they don't know why.
Or have a word for it?
Yeah. She says it's the force of the
Yeah.
earth.
We have to do a word search of the 3 books to see if they ever mention the word gravity.
I don't have the Kindle, so I can't.
Oh well.
Page by page it will be.
Yes. It's a good rule. It works for all things in life. If you throw something into the air, it will come back down. If you bring an army into a man's kingdom, he will react accordingly.
So we've got there his what he's thinking
Brooding.
about.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, she says it's not brooding, remember. Earlier
No.
on, Ben said he doesn't brood. He's just thinking. Okay. Yeah, so he's obviously thinking about, oh, I'm bringing this army into another man's kingdom and he's going to react. Da, 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 da. So he's on about that. And this is why we need these two characters thinking about different things because he's busy there. She can't be thinking about the things he's on about.
Yep.
But they can help each other out.
Yep.
Consequence.
She thought, frowning.
Like things falling back when thrown into the sky. That's what Ruin's actions feel like to me. Consequences.
A few slight alterations in my addition. As with things
Mm.
falling when thrown, that's what Ruin's actions feel like to me. Consequences.
Hmm. I prefer as, so.
Yeah. Perhaps it was a remnant of touching the power, or perhaps merely a rationalization her unconscious mind was giving her. Yet she felt a logic to Ruin. She didn't understand that logic, but she could recognize its presence. Elend turned back toward her. That's what I like about allomancy, in fact, or at least the theory of it. The Ska whisper about it, call it mystical, but it's really quite rational. You can tell what an allomantic push is going to do as certainly as you can tell what will happen when you drop a rock over the side of a boat. For every push, there is a pull. There are no exceptions. It makes simple logical sense, unlike the ways of men which are filled with flaws, irregularities, and double meanings. Allomancy is a thing of nature. So that's the big line about
Mm.
humans being illogical and with flaws and irregularities. Are there? If Vin came close to understanding the ways of men? Or did, in
Yeah,
fact?
exactly. She did, in fact, and it all seemed natural. It's all everything is as it is. Everything is as it should be. Everything acts the way it should because that's by design. So that's what it means to be natural. So yeah, I think that that's what we're supposed to hook onto there. Allomancy is a thing of nature, and it's like, well, natural. Everything seemed natural when she held that power. So think about that, okay? And also, just it kind of redeems men in a kind of the ways of men, in a kind of, yes, there is bad, but there is also good. So for me, that's a nice thing to remember in the middle of all this. Not that the characters themselves are thinking of it. Like he's like, we get an insight as well into Ellen's thinking here. He's really thinking of how horrible men are and how horrible the ways of men are.
Yeah. And then I want to revisit the Cabsol discussion when he says something to the effect of men have to choose good to add good to the world, or something to that effect.
Mhm.
Feels like it's pertinent here. And I don't
Yeah.
remember the exact quote, but there's something about what he said that I think is slightly off, but still revelatory as it's concerned here.
Well, I'm not thinking of that. I don't know.
I'll revisit it at some point.
Mm.
Vin thinks,
A thing of nature. For every push, there is a pull, a consequence. That's important.
what?
A consequence.
She thinks again.
She's not answering him. But I'm just thinking, yes, a consequence. I'm wondering about the elementic metals, right? Because there's a push and pull. Remember we were talking about there's opposites of each metal. Do we really have the opposites down yet? Like the opposite of atium, that sort of thing, like
Was. Hmm.
malatium.
I think so.
I
I
don't
mean,
know,
they're
but the point is, I remember like what's the opposite of gold? You know, what's the
the
push
opposite
and
of
pull
gold
of
was malatium, I think. No.
Mm.
Wait. We
So
should
that's
go
what I
back
mean,
to
and
the
I yeah,
Well of
I'll look at
Ascension chart.
yeah, the Well of Ascension chart. Don't look at this one. I mean, I can do
Yeah.
it right now. Oh wait, never mind. It's packed away at the moment. Sure. Okay.
The thing she had felt at the Well of Ascension had been a thing of destruction, as Alendi described in his logbook, but it hadn't been a creature, and not a person. It had been a force, a thinking one, but a force nonetheless, and forces had rules. Allomancy, weather, even the pull of the ground. The world was a place that made sense, a place of logic. Every push had a pull, every force had a consequence. She had to discover the laws relating to the thing she was fighting. That would tell her how to beat it. Yes, good.
Yeah. So you see that she doesn't call it gravity. She says the pull of the ground.
Hmm. Vin? Elend asked, studying her face. Vin looked away.
It's nothing, Ellen. Nothing I can speak of, at least.
He watched her for a moment.
He thinks that you're plotting against him.
Reen whispered from the back of her mind. So, was that Ruin? Was that Ruin influencing her, or trying to? Probably.
Yeah, I suppose, or her leaning into a tendency of her own. I don't know if she can speak, or Ruin can speak directly into her mind, though, because she doesn't have a spike in her. Remember, we've associated that was why God could speak to Zane.
But consider that Vin's special, and
Mm,
she had whispers all throughout the first book, too.
yeah, I don't know. I did consider, is that Ruin, because I'm like,
Is
that's
the
a
earring
weird
a
thing.
spike?
Yeah, exactly. Is the earring a spike? That's
Because there
true.
was blood. She was bloody. It was done messily.
Yes, she was pierced as well.
Mm-hmm.
So like it was used to pierce her. So that could be it.
Holy shit! Is that how she? And the earring, like you pointed out, it burned when she went into the well, and we think the well was
Hmm.
preservation power. Well, I think the well was in part preservation power. And if hemalurgy is of ruin, it makes sense that well power wouldn't get along.
Hmm.
Is Vin part Inquisitor?
A weird kind of gentle inquisitor. With a,
I,
but she did also become a mistborn, I think, through a bead instead, or just genetically. I don't think she got
wow.
I don't think she got her powers from the earring and piercing, because you need a lot more.
Yeah, maybe I'm gonna have to think hard on that one. Cause,
Because
cause
also
she can.
remember,
She can take
if she's
the earring out.
yeah. And the Inquisitor, okay, Inquisitors don't need to burn. I don't think they need to burn metals. They're literally. I think yeah, okay, they can burn metals, but they like literally their eyes are they can see metal.
I
Like
thought
that's
they
not what
do,
Vin's.
though. Didn't they, like, try cutting open the Inquisitor's stomach at the
Yeah,
beginning?
no, no, yeah, to find atium, so they do. But I'm saying like their eyes, right? They
Hmm.
can only see through burning metal.
Well, how else
So
are they
like
gonna see? They
yeah,
don't have
exactly.
eyes.
So the thing is, like, I don't. Vin can see. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm just.
But she doesn't have spikes through her eyes.
Why? Why do we have to make this? Why do we have to make it so egregious, though? Why does the size of the spike count? Like,
I
why can't
don't
we just
know.
have a nose piercing and then you're an inquisitor? No, we have
Yeah.
to jam things through your eyes. It has to be violent. I don't know. I think, yeah, there might be some hemalurgy involved, but I don't think she's full inquisitor because she was pierced through the ear.
No, I don't. I mean, she obviously isn't actually an Inquisitor. I'm speaking at least a little bit hyperbolically to highlight that maybe she came by her powers in a small way through Inquisitor making magic.
Hmm.
She's a Vinquisitor.
Oh my gosh, how did I not make that joke? That's hilarious.
Fortunately, the days when she had listened to Reen's words were long past. Indeed, as she watched Elend, she saw him nod slowly and accept her explanation. He returned to his own contemplations. She rose, walking forward, laying a hand on his arm. He sighed, raising his arm and wrapping it around her shoulders, pulling her close. That arm, once the weak limb of a scholar, was now muscular and firm. Get a room.
Mhm. But I want to ask you a question as well. Sorry. If this is Ruin in her mind speaking to her,
Mm-hmm.
does then Ruin hear her thoughts? Like, hmm,
I
if you can
don't
speak into
think
the mind,
so.
is it just it's not a two-way, it's just a one-way. Okay.
I think it's a one way.
Mm,
Because Zane spoke aloud to the voice.
yeah.
It freaked Straff out.
And I guess he would know he could see this interaction. Ruin could see this interaction and know that it's relevant
Hmm.
to say that. Yeah. What are you thinking about?
You know. Vin nodded. But it's more than how I feel about the soldiers' deaths, Vin. I fear I'm becoming.
Whoa. Mine actually has it. It was necessary, Ellen. The soldiers had to get exposed to the mists eventually, so she knows what he's thinking about.
Yeah, no, I don't have that.
Hmm.
Hmm.
I like it. I like that she goes. It was net because she goes. He says you know, and then she confirms that she knows by saying it was necessary. Anyway,
Yeah. Shows that they have that telepathy.
yeah, there's quite a difference in what's happening here. So you just read it and let me know.
Okay.
Because mine goes, yes, but there's something more than I fear I'm becoming like him.
Well, yeah, that's what I have next.
Okay.
So,
What are you thinking about?
you know. Vin nodded. Ellen sighed. But it's more than how I feel about the soldiers' deaths, Vin. I fear I'm becoming like him,
Who?
the Lord Ruler. Vin snorted quietly, pulling closer to him. This is something he would have done, sacrificing his own men for a tactical advantage. Did you do it for the tactical advantage, or did you do it because even without it, it should probably be done? I don't think you came to the determination that ultimately it should be done. You don't think of it as good, and we have no
Yeah.
reason yet to believe it's good. But you gave them the choice that really, really does absolve you. I think.
Yes. Exactly. He doesn't even think of the fact, and neither does Vin bring it up, that you gave them a choice. Hello? He's like, he's acting, it's kind of actually taking away the agency of the soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I forced them. It's like, no, actually, you gave them a choice. Okay. And yes, it was a very difficult choice, but that's the same choice that you faced as well. It's the same sort of thing as the codes, Dalinar doing something, not expecting something he wouldn't do from the
Hmm.
soldiers. There you go. You've done this. And nobody brings that up. I would have clapped him. I would have hit him and said, hey, none of that. You gave them a choice. Remember? Moron.
Yep.
But yeah, it makes sense that he is worried about it. And again, as well, for a tactical advantage, he did have reservations about it, and it wasn't just like, oh well, he wasn't flippant about it. He's going to be uncomfortable about it and do what's necessary. He's not going to take
Yeah.
joy in it, which it seems like the Lord really didn't really. He just did not care. Yeah.
Agreed.
You explained this to Ham. We can't afford to waste time.
It's still ruthless. The problem isn't that those men died. It's that I was so willing to make it happen. I feel brutal, Finn. How far will I go to see my goals achieved? I'm marching on another man's kingdom to take it from him,
For the greater good.
which has been the excuse of tyrants throughout all time. I know that, yet I press on. This is why I didn't want to be emperor. This is why I let Penrod take my throne from me during the siege. I didn't want to be the kind of leader who had to do things like this. So this far in, a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
One, what do you mean tyrants throughout all time? Don't you only know the Lord Ruler, basically? um,
Yeah, I think I did have that thought, but then I was like, okay, well, there have still been the rise and fall of things. There's still some sort of history, and we've had tyrants like, say, what's it, Ellen's dad, Straff. So we've
sure,
had those kinds of things. So
that's a fair rebuttal. But
yeah.
also, I read, I let Penrod take my throne from me. And I'm like, at first I thought, you gaslighting shit. We know how
Mm,
freaking hard you worked to try and hold on to that throne. We were there for every minute of it just cuz you could have lied. And then I think, okay, maybe you did kind of let Penrod take it, but you fought for it. Just because you didn't lie doesn't necessarily mean it was you giving it to him. But then I think, well, actually, it does.
yeah, he's seeing it that way because he could have, for the greater good, lied and
Hmm.
gotten his throne, but he didn't. So he did at that point. He was fighting for it, absolutely, but at that point, it is a kind of giving it. He made the decision,
Yeah,
and that's how he's viewing it. That he made that decision because he didn't want to be like these other guys.
yeah. I didn't want to be the kind of leader who had to do things like this. I want to protect, not besiege and kill. But is there any other way? Everything I do feels like it must be done, such as exposing my own men in the mists, such as marching on Fadric City. We have to get to that storage cache. It's the only lead we have that could give us a clue as to what we're supposed to do. It all makes such sense. Ruthless, brutal sense. And then during that, I'm thinking, yeah, so there's kind of a point as a leader where you cease to be a person and you be a leader and you don't really have much choice of anything.
Mm-hmm. You you don't your emotions can't even really come into it.
Yeah.
You have to put them aside and not, and again, like Vin was doing with the scholarship and all of that, it's kind of, well, I don't like this at all, but I have to do it. It's what's necessary. I am no longer my own person. I belong to the empire. As an
Mhm.
emperor, he belongs to the empire, and he can't just be a normal person with normal emotions and whatever. He has to put those aside a lot of the time and make decisions for a large group of people.
Yeah. You cease to be an individual and you become the
Mm.
avatar of your nation or kingdom.
And it's going to be, it's like you're refined. The choice becomes refined because you're at the top there. And you have to bear the guilt of making those decisions, but as a human, but yeah, you still need leaders are necessary. I think the way that he's done it so far as well is at least by giving them the choice. That's good. Basically, I'm just saying that it refines the choice. Not refines. It makes it really, you have to, being a leader does actually lead to having to make brutal decisions because you really do have to make collective decisions
Right.
for people. And it's tough. And I think he's done well so far because he did give them the choice. And we were worried, remember? So he gave them the choice to do it. And that was important to do. And again, as well, he doesn't want to be a ruler that needs to do these things. Sorry, the circumstances that you are in require
Necessitate
this.
it. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. You find this distasteful, okay? I understand, but you still have to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And keep finding it distasteful, okay? If you start to like it, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Ruthlessness is the most practical of emotions.
Reen's voice whispered. She ignored it.
You've been listening to Set too much.
Perhaps. Yet his is a logic I find difficult to ignore. I grew up as an idealist, Vin. We both know that's true. Set provides a balance. The things he says are much like what Tindwyl used to say. He paused, shaking his head. A short time ago, I was talking with Set about snapping. The noble houses were always desperate to ensure that they found the Allomancers among their children,
They had them beaten.
Vin whispered. And at that point, I'm like, yes, we're finally gonna get this lore.
Yes, we need to understand, like, what. And we're 3 books in. Okay? When we first found out about snapping, you said this is what people are going to have done. And we only get mention, really, of it now. But hey, better late than never.
Yep. Elend nodded. One of the great dirty secrets of so-called noble life. I haven't talked much about the details, but the children often didn't survive the beatings, which had to be brutal in order to bring out any latent allomantic abilities. The process was different for each house, but they generally specified an age before adolescence. Every boy and girl who reached that age was taken and beaten near to death. Vin shivered. And again, with all of this topic of the sickness and
Mhm.
16% and everything, it feels so much like Sanderson telegraphing, hey, we're snapping people.
Yes, exactly. I'm like, yes, yes. Are they going to get to it? Like when I was reading this, I was like, are they going to get to that conclusion in this chapter? But yeah, this
Mm-hmm.
is just building blocks for it, I think.
Give Demio some metal, see if he can burn it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's just, let's see. I this they have this discussion now, and they don't make a connection. But why have this discussion now?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Vin shivered. I vividly remember mine. Father didn't beat me himself, but he did watch. The saddest thing about the beatings was that most of them were pointless. Only a handful of children, even among the great houses, snapped and became allomancers. I didn't. I was beaten for nothing.
Okay, so we'll get to the response, but this makes me go, oh, we're absolutely snapping people. We're so snapping people with,
Uh-huh.
like, because come on, the most of them were pointless. Only the saddest thing is only a handful of them would become alamancers. It's like, there you go, it's happening. A handful, yeah,
Was
that's
it
16%.
16%?
Yeah, exactly. Like, come on, it must be something. Like this makes me even more. Just going through it slowly has made me even more excited about the connection.
Yeah,
Yay! And yes, I know that they're having this conversation because we're talking about the necessity of brutality. I understand that it actually does make sense in the flow of their conversation, but I'm talking about the meta thing
hmm
decision of making this conversation happen now. is
Yeah.
very significant.
Yep.
You stopped those beatings, Ellen.
Good Elend. Very good
Hmm.
Elend. Vin said he had drafted a bill soon after becoming king. It was now an individual's personal choice whether to undergo a supervised beating, and only after coming of age. And I was wrong.
That's just hold on. This for me, I was like, a supervised beating. Like, okay, I suppose it again. He's giving people the choice, but he has made it that it's not. You have to be of age, so you're not just an adolescent. You're like, yeah,
Yeah.
he's increased the age of consent, I suppose. Yeah, it's like I guess it's something. It works. The supervised beatings is
The
okay.
first rule of snapping, you don't talk about snapping.
Yeah, exact snap club. Yeah.
And I was wrong, Ellen said softly. Vin looked up. Allomancers are our most powerful resource, Vin. I read that and I was like, wait, Ellen, did you just say you were wrong to ban the beating of children?
Yeah, that's stupid. Don't use that word. I was wrong. No, you weren't wrong. It
Did
was yet this has a consequence. This is an unintended consequence. Not you were wrong. No, there's a different word for that. Right?
yeah, and excuse me, but did the Lord Ruler mandate child beatings? I didn't
Yeah.
get that impression.
Yeah, exactly. Because every house has different ways of doing it and whatever. Yeah, he didn't mandate it either.
Yeah.
So I was wrong, which is when looked up. Yeah, that's what I would be doing. I'd be like, excuse?
Yep.
Huh?
I would have slapped him.
Be like, what? I was wrong. I was wrong. I would have used it. I would have alamanced him. Is all I would say. Give it. Actually, no. Give him a shame beam. Like increase the shame in his emotions, allomancy wise. Yes, that's what I would do. I'd beat him with shame.
Is it ever a mistake to make the morally good choice?
Hmm. Yeah. Oh well,
L-
hello. Ask Finn that because she made the morally good choice in her eyes to give up the power at the Well of Ascension. Right? That was morally good in her eyes.
yeah.
It was a mistake. Hmm.
Because it's like,
But it wasn't wrong. It was a
maybe it's,
mistake.
yeah, maybe
Ah.
I'm echoing this week's Way of Kings reading, but
Mhm.
it's how you get there. We all share the
Mhm.
end destination. It's how we get there that matters. But it's hard, like, if you're, I don't know, 16 or something, and making a morally good choice means ruining the rest of your life in some way, it's
Hmm.
hard to be like, I don't want to ruin my life. I suppose it's a sort of a metric of how you're measuring, right? Element.
How you measuring? How you measuring what? Wrongness.
Like, you can do a slightly less than moral act and you will live for like 30 or 40 years.
Mhm.
Or you could make a clear, morally good choice, but it will cost you your life tomorrow. That's a tough metric.
Yeah, I think
Whereas,
it
go on.
depends on which sorry, when you say metric, sorry, it depends on what that act would be. What are the stakes involved here? That's what I'm hearing from the word metric for you. Like, what is the stakes here? Like, what do you have to do? What is the immoral act that keeps you alive? Because,
Yeah.
like, if it's like, oh,
Returning a
lie
wallet.
when yeah, like like lie when about your friend when your friend asks, "Do I look fat in this?" And then you would that means you would die if you told the truth. Like I would tell a little lie. It's fine, but so yeah, it's all relative. You would really have to look at the stakes and the situation itself.
Yeah.
The matrix.
And I was wrong, Ellen said softly. Vin looked up. Allomancers are our most powerful resource, Vin, Ellen said, gazing out over the marching soldiers. Set lost his kingdom, nearly his life, because he couldn't marshal enough Allomancers to protect him, and I made it illegal to search out Allomancers in my population. That's a bad supporting argument, Ellen, because Set probably didn't make illegal the beating of children.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't. Yeah, Set probably wasn't doing that.
Yeah.
He did not care about your laws. Set was a rebel king against you.
And
I
clearly it
don't
didn't
think.
help him.
Yeah. So clearly he was not under your rule anyway.
Yeah. If your
Moron.
argument is just that it makes it that much harder to find them, yeah, sure. But it sounds like it's so hard already that it really is
Yeah.
probably negligible.
Mm-hmm. I suppose, and this again is just the more that we're talking about this, the more I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what the mists are doing. That's
Yeah.
exactly it, because it's quick as well.
Yeah, and like the end of the world is looming. What, you're gonna snap a couple 8-year-olds and they'll be ready to fight in a week? Get out of
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Oh, but yeah. So Vin, great response here, which is actually no. What I want to say is a great response is like the most obvious response. Elend, Elend, you stopped the beating of children.
And if those beatings could save lives? Ellen asked. Like exposing my soldiers could save lives? What about Kelsier? He gained his powers as a Mistborn only after he was trapped in the pits of Hathsin. What would have happened if he'd been beaten properly as a child? He would always have been Mistborn. He could have saved his wife. You don't know that.
You don't know that as well, and that beaten properly as a child, excuse me. And yeah, I don't know. I think he probably went through some pretty bad beatings as well in his
Yeah.
life before that. So I don't know. Everybody's snapping point would be different. It doesn't necessarily have to be a physical snapping. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just sorry, it could save lives. So he's just theorizing about how things could have been. Again, we're speaking about the journey. It's like, well, the way that it did happen worked, okay? And yeah, just the way he says properly beaten, I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, he would have always been misborn. Exposing my the fact that he says like exposing my soldiers could save lives. That's exactly what is happening. Okay, that's exactly what's happening. Well, that's what we're theorizing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he wouldn't have had the courage or motivation to overthrow the final empire.
And is what we have any better? The longer I've held this throne, Vin, the more I've come to realize that some of the things the Lord Ruler did weren't evil, but simply effective. Right or wrong, he maintained order in his kingdom.
Okay.
Uh, I mean, I
Mm,
agree he was effective.
mm-hmm. Effective, yes. Effective.
Hmm. He maintained order, and that's emphasizing the whole he was leaning heavily into the preservation side of balance,
Mm-hmm.
meaning he may have tipped the scales or held the scales too long in the preservation direction. But then again, he kind of ruined the world with the red sun and the ash mounts, so maybe it's a
Mm-hmm.
wash.
But yeah, he ruined it by mistake. I don't know, out of
Yeah.
ignorance, if we're being. But yeah, I don't know. Effective, sure, but you slaughtered people in the streets. Okay. I think that's a bit different to giving people the choice to walk outside into something we don't have control over. Like,
Yeah.
come on, no. So I understand he's trying out these thoughts and he's gnawing on them, okay, and they're gnawing at him. I understand that, but
Hmm.
yeah, I think he's being a bit mm, extreme.
Yeah.
Like, tell me, I would want to know which of the things are you happy with? Like which of the things are you saying were not evil? Because yeah, evil always can always justify itself. It's
Yeah.
not the way that it manifests is a lot of the time it's not. oh, because I just want to. It's like, actually, no, I've got this and this and this reason. And I
Hmm.
just don't play by the same rules as you. Like, yeah, Ellen, you're frustrating me, boy, but I understand you're under a lot of pressure.
Yep. Vin breathed out slowly.
Oh, mine's got Vin looked up, catching his eyes, forcing him to look down at her.
Ooh, that sounds more like shameful Ellen than
Yeah.
frustrated Vin.
Yeah,
Mine is
Vin's like,
frustrated Vin, yours is
yeah.
shameful Ellen.
Oh, shameful Ellen, but also Vin looking up at him, catching his eyes, making sure he looks at her. Like that makes me think she would look at him intently, and he would have to look at her. So
Yeah,
shameful, yeah, he doesn't want to, but she's forcing him. So,
yeah.
and then she says, "I don't like this hardness in you, Ellen."
He looked out over the blackened canal waters. It doesn't control me, Vin. I don't agree with most of the things the Lord Ruler did. I'm just coming to understand him, and that understanding worries me. She saw questions in his eyes, but also strength. He looked down and met her gaze. I can hold this throne only because I know that at one point I was willing to give it up in the name of what was right. If I ever lose that, Vin, you need to tell me. Can you? Vin nodded. So, this is an idea. I'm not going to say the idea's played out. I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's a common denominator we frequently get in stories such as these.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not complaining, I'm just kind of pointing it out. It's a topic that a lot of writers I think like to write about.
The moral choices, doing what's necessary, becoming the thing you were fighting against. That whole idea.
The philosophical idea that the people best suited to rule are the ones who are willing to turn it down or don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think the reason it always comes up is because in these apocalyptic sort of stories, that is when you can have these questions, when you're like, what kind of ruler do we need right now? You know, so it makes sense that it's always in these kinds of stories.
Yeah.
It asks itself.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Roman story of Cincinnatus. Forget the specific details, but the idea was he was a farmer. I think he was a war veteran, and I can't remember if it was during the Gallic sack of Rome, but at one point, Rome named him dictator, and he came in and using his military prowess, he saved the day, and then he went right back to farming after. And the story is meant to teach young Romans that the ideal is that you be a hardworking farmer, you serve your nation when called upon to do so, and then you go back to farming.
Mm. Okay, that seems like it is a common sort of thing because they use that sort of trope with Maximus in what's the name, the Gladiator. They
Yeah.
made that whole kind of that Maximus is the kind of guy that just wants to go back to his farm after the war.
George Washington.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think Washington modeled his actions on Cincinnatus, or he has been compared to Cincinnatus, something like that. Anyway, that was a tangent. His eyes sought the horizon again.
What is it he hopes to see?
She wondered. There has to be a balance, Finn. Somehow we'll find it. The balance between who we wish to be and who we need to be. But for now, we have to be satisfied with who we are. Balance! They're talking about balance. Vin is so close to thinking on balance.
Yes, this is true. And also there was that earlier like note where she burns pewter to maintain her balance or whatever. I'm like, why are you referring to that? Like we know she does this instinctually. But I think that is another nod towards balance, towards literally just keep this theme in mind.
It also goes back to the themes in the first one, the push and the pull, the black and the
Yeah, all
white,
of that.
and who you are,
Yeah.
and the whole gold, seeing who you could be.
Mhm.
Mm.
Yeah. I like that this is the conclusion he comes to because it's like, yeah, and you need to be brutal in this world, unfortunately. So you do have to find a balance between who you want to be and who you need to be. Unfortunately, it's not always going to be the same
Yeah.
because the world challenges you. I'm glad that he finally comes to that. And yeah, we have to be satisfied with who we are. So yeah, go and use who you are out in these challenges that you're facing. And you would hope that yeah, Vin is there again, like she was with Calcia, to be this kind of force of hey, cool it. If you start getting a bit too brutal.
Yeah. But for now, we have to be satisfied with who we are. Vin glanced over to see a small courier skiff from another narrowboat pulling up alongside theirs. A man in simple brown robes stood upon it. He wore large spectacles as if attempting to obscure the intricate ministry tattoos around his eyes, and he was smiling happily. So I imagine him with, like, aviator goggles. And I imagine he looks like some sort of insect man.
I think of him more as like Varys. I didn't even think of the glasses on him. I was just more thinking about Varys.
Hmm. I don't know. I kind of imagine him a bit
Thinner.
skinnier, thinner, yeah.
Yeah.
Eventually we should do Well of Ascension casting.
Yeah. I think we've cast him. I think we might have cast him.
I don't think we did. I don't think we ever did Well of
Maybe I
Ascension.
was just thinking about it. Okay.
Hmm. Vin smiled as well. Once she had thought that a happy obligator was always a bad sign. That was before she'd known Noorden. During the days of the Lord Ruler, the contented scholar had probably lived most of his life in his own little world. He provided a strange proof that even among what had once been, in her opinion, the most evil organization in the Empire, one could find good men. Nice little summary of him.
Yes, exactly. And again, back to this natural balance of things that even in the most evil of places, you could find someone good. So balance and hope.
Also, knockoff Dachshund.
He's nerdier, Dachshund. A lot more nerdier.
Yeah. Your Excellency, Norden said, stepping off the skiff and bowing. A couple of assistant scribes joined him on deck, lugging books and ledgers. Norden, Elland said, joining the man on the foredeck. Vin followed. You have done the counts, I asked. Yes, Your Excellency, Norden said as an aide opened up a ledger on a pile of boxes. I must say this was a difficult task, what with the army moving about and the like. I'm certain you were thorough as always, Norden, Elland said. He glanced at the ledger, which seemed to make sense to him, though all Vin saw was a bunch of random numbers.
What's it say?
It lists the number of sick and dead. Of our 38,000, nearly 6,000 were taken by the sickness. We lost a bit over 550, including one of my own scribes, Norden said, shaking his head. Then frowned, not at the death, but at something else, something itching at her mind.
Let's go!
Yeah, let's go! One bit of skepticism, though.
Mm.
Is it a Vin personality trait or intelligent trait to be able to unlock the 16% revelation, or does that not strike you more as an Elend thing to discover?
I think it's her questions that lead to it. That's all.
Okay.
She asks questions about it. That's it. She's just something's making itching at her mind and she just asks questions. It's not that she knows where it's going. I think if it was too much, she would know where it was going.
Okay.
But I think that her curiosity is okay here, and I think there's already been this kind of push towards that she's actually been a little bit more scholarly in the past 2 years. So you're kind of understanding that she's exercised a certain part of her brain. So
Yeah,
I'm fine. I justified it in my head.
I guess I just never thought of Vin as being particularly math oriented, and
Hmm.
you can be scholarly without being math oriented.
Yeah. But
Not
then
book
again,
breaking or anything. I just
yeah.
wonder if it might not have been better suited for Elland to help unlock this.
Well, he does that, but that calculate. At least she doesn't do the calculations herself. And
True.
then also, you know, being part of a thieving crew, dividing up loot,
The loot,
that
that's
sort of
fair.
thing, making deals. So proportions are not something she wouldn't be involved with.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Vin frowned, not at the death, but at something else, something itching at her mind. Fewer dead than we expected, Alan said, pulling thoughtfully at his beard. Yes, Your Excellency. I guess these soldier types are more rugged than the average Scar population. The sickness, whatever it is, didn't strike them as hard.
How do you know?
Vin asked, looking up.
How do you know how many should have died?
Previous experience, my lady, Norden said in his chatty way. We've been tracking these deaths with some interest. Since the disease is new, we're trying to determine precisely what causes it. Perhaps that will lead us to a way to treat it. I've had my scribes reading what we can, trying to find clues of other diseases like this. It seems a bit similar to the shakewelts, though that's usually brought on by...
Norden, you have figures then. Exact numbers.
Ooh, I have specific numbers.
Hmm.
That's what His Excellency asked for, my lady.
How many fell sick to the disease? Exactly.
Well, let me see, Norden said, shooing his scribe away and checking the ledger. 5,243.
What percentage of the soldiers is that?
Norden waved over a scribe and did some calculations. About 13.5%, my lady, he said, adjusting his spectacles. Vin frowned.
Did you include the men who died in your calculations?
Actually, no.
And which total did you use? The total number of men in the army, or the total number who hadn't been in the mists before?
The first. So, just as a person who's not mathy, I don't know what's going on. I'm glazing over a little bit. I just skip ahead to the TLDR revelation.
Yeah, like yeah. At this point, I'm like, okay, I'm trying to follow, but I know that they're going to explain it later. So basically, she's really just asking how they calculated the percentage. That's it. How did they
Yeah.
get to the percentage that they got to? What percentage of what is essentially what she's asking, which is not too
Yeah.
much of a complicated question for her to ask.
In rebuttal to my skepticism, I will also add it does make sense that she was thinking about possible rules and
Yeah.
she could associate the deaths as part of the game and she
Mhm.
could be seeking out what the balance is. So,
Yeah. Looking for some sort of pattern. And
yeah.
okay, because what we've been presented with before this is so we had that she was thinking of the 15% in the beginning of the chapter, but then what Nurden is essentially trying to come and tell Ellen is like, oh yeah, fewer people than we thought were affected. That's a good thing, right? So she's like, wait, no, we need to figure out, this is an anomaly. What does this mean? And then actually she finds out that it isn't an anomaly. So her questions make sense here.
Yeah. The first.
Do you have a count for the second number? So the second number, by the way, is the total number who hadn't been in the mists before. So the input of the last incident, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, my lady. The Emperor wanted an accurate count of which soldiers would be affected,
Use that number instead.
Vin said, glancing at Elland. He seemed interested. What is this about, Vin? He asked as Norden and his men worked.
I'm not sure.
Numbers are important for generalizations, but I don't see how... He trailed off as Norden looked up from his calculations, then cocked his head, saying something softly to himself.
What?
I'm sorry, my lady. I was a bit surprised. The calculation came out to be exact. Precisely 16% of the soldiers fell sick, to the man. 16? 3 of 16 remain. Okay, we had that conversation. A coincidence, Norden. It isn't that remarkable for calculations to come out exact. Do you ever get tired of being wrong, Elland?
He's always just trying to downplay exciting things.
Yeah. Ash blew across the desk. No, No, you are right, Your Excellency. A simple coincidence.
Check your ledgers. Find percentages based on other groups of people who have caught this disease.
Vin, I'm no statistician, but I have worked with numbers in my research. Sometimes natural phenomena produce seemingly odd results, but the chaos of statistics actually results in normalization. It might appear strange that the numbers in this case broke down to an exact percentage, but that's just the way statistics work. So, yeah, there's that normalization line I referenced earlier.
Hmm. Yeah, and I can imagine Sazed doing this as well. That kind of thing, because that they have to doubt. They have to approach always with doubt. But
Mm-hmm.
this is a lovely thing because we've just had this whole speech from Elland, and then Norden says,
16. He looked up. Another exact percentage. Ellen frowned, stepping over to the ledger.
"It's like so he's just had this whole speech, and he's like, wait a second."
This third one here isn't a whole number, Norden said. But that's only because the base number isn't a multiple of 25. A fraction of a person can't really become sick after all. Yet the sickness in this population here is within a single person of being 16% on the nose.
Interesting. Okay, so it's like, is it rounding up or rounding down when with this? Is it like, okay, half a person can't become sick, so that person doesn't become sick? Okay, it seems like that's what he's saying within a single person being. Uh, yeah. Either way, yeah. I guess if you're that last person, it's a toss up.
It's okay. It's just a headache. It's just a headache, guys. Elend knelt down, heedless of the ash that had dusted the deck since it had last been swept. Then looked over his shoulder, scanning the numbers. And at this point, I'm also wondering if Ruin is paying attention to them and thinking, shit,
Oof,
they're onto something.
got to change that.
Yeah.
Or he's changed it or he's changed it to make it 16. Is he that's what I'm talking about, the double bluff. So you got to
Well,
check what
yeah.
changes.
I think they cover that later in the chapter,
Yeah,
though.
they do. Yeah, thank goodness, because I was like, ah, and then I'm like, no. So and then they covered it, thank goodness.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how old the average member of the population is, Norden said, scribbling, nor does it matter where they live. Each one shows the identical percentage of people falling sick. How could we have not noticed this before? Ellen asked.
See, Vin had to ask the questions. Ellen's smart enough to have figured it out, but he would not notice it and ask these questions, right?
Yeah, Vin is Vinquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
The Vinquisitor. Oh my god, that's her superhero name.
Yes.
Well, we did, after a fashion, Norden said. We knew that about 4 in 25 caught the sickness. However, I hadn't realized how exact the numbers were. This is indeed odd, Your Excellency. I know of no other disease that works this way. Look, here's an entry where 100 scouts were sent into the mists, and precisely 16 of them fell sick. Ellen looked troubled.
Sorry, that's just easy for you. That's just like, okay, reader, by the way, this is how this works. Here's 100 men that went out and 16 came. Do you get it?
For the bad at math folks like myself.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr.
No,
Sanderson.
I think it's just like a cherry on top for just by the way, just remember. And also just as well as far as proof goes, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Ellen looked troubled.
What?
This is wrong, Vin. Very wrong. It's as if the chaos of... Again, chaos. It's
Mm-hmm.
so precise here. It's as if the chaos of normal random statistics is broken down. A population should never react with this precision. There should be a curve of probability, with the smaller populations reflecting the expected percentages less accurately. Almost like it's mystical, not
Mm-hmm.
organic.
Exactly. So, you know what? That's why we did have to have Ellen's full speech about how you expect numbers to be. So it's like, yeah, that's an anomaly. The accurate one is an anomaly, but now we're finding it everywhere. That's crazy. That's even more of an anomaly. And just this word chaos, like you said, he's using it, the chaos of statistics, the chaos of this is like, okay. This
Mm-hmm.
is not chaos though.
Yep. At the very least, the sickness should affect the elderly in different ratios from the healthy. In a way, it does, Norden said as one of his assistants handed him a paper with further calculations. The deaths respond that way, as we would expect, but the total number who fall sick is always 16%. We've been paying so much attention to how many died, we didn't notice how unnatural the percentages were for those stricken.
Okay,
Ellen,
so it seems like. Okay, so wait, what are we hearing here? Sorry, I need to run this by you. So what we're hearing here is the deaths, they react like a sickness. And so if you're weak, you die.
yes, the 16% is to how
Mhm.
many get sick, including those who die, but is
Okay.
not
Yeah.
connected to those who are able to survive the sickness.
So it strikes 16% of the population.
Hmm.
And
Whether or not you live or die comes down to your own individual fortitude.
yeah, which is like, okay, if we went and we beat them all up, same thing.
Hmm. So then the big question is it random 16% or is it specific 16%? And I think it's specific.
Yeah, or genetics. Well, not even
So
genetics. Hmm.
so what's the causal link?
Yeah.
So now they have to look at age, race, sex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember earlier, I was asking, like I did say earlier in an earlier chapter, I was like asking all these questions. I was like, we have to do this and we have to do this to find similarities and differences and all of that. I did not expect that to actually happen in the book.
Hmm.
And it is. Like I thought it would be like a throwaway line or something at some point where we get a bit of an explanation. But I love this that we're actually getting the research happening in front of us.
Yep. Ellen stood. Check on this, Norden, he said, gesturing toward the ledger. Do interviews, make certain the data hasn't changed by Ruin, and find out if this trend holds. We can't jump to conclusions with only 4 or 5 examples. It could still all be a large coincidence. Yes, Your Excellency, Norden said, looking a bit shaken. But what if it's not a coincidence? What does it mean? And also, there's that line. It's make sure it hasn't been changed by Ruin. So they're
Hmm.
doing that due diligence, we know.
Hmm.
So I think it's fair to say these numbers are probably more or less accurate.
Hmm. And these are guys that would remember what they've seen as well and kind of figure
Hmm.
out, no, wait, yeah.
I assume they're working with metal just out of hand
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, because I mean, we have messages that come on metal as well. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what if it's not a coincidence? What does it mean? I don't know, Ellen said.
It means consequence.
Vin thought.
It means that there are laws, even if we don't understand them. 16. Why 16%?
Why indeed?
Hmm.
So yeah, this is probably a contender for one of my favorite chapters in the book so far, despite the
Yeah.
math.
Yeah, imagine that. It was presented to us very palatably. It was not distasteful scholarship.
Yep. I think we got the bulk of it all out during the tangents that we went on. I did write
Mm.
a note to myself, preservation kills overpopulation. I'm wondering if part of that balance is maybe there's an overpopulation type thing going on and preservation is just killing people to bring back the balance, but I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, like it's a culling. We did have that theory earlier on where it was like, okay, well, because there's not enough food. It could be. I don't think there's evidence against that. It could be part of the whole consideration of this force.
Yeah. Anything else to say?
Like the video.
If you like. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your week. Subscribe to That Darn Kidda if you get a chance, because she's got a great channel.
Subscribe to this channel because it's a great channel.
I try my best. And we'll see you next time. Okay, thanks,
Yeah, thanks,
bye.
bye.